She thought her husband died a hero, leaving her with nothing but memories and debt. But when she walked into an estate sale and saw his watch, the one she buried him with, being sold by another woman calling herself his widow, everything she knew shattered. 2 wives, 2 families, 1 dead man, and a truth so dark it would destroy them both. Sit back and find out as we dive into the story of how a gold watch unraveled a web of lies that spanned 15 years. In a small apartment in Portland, Oregon, Sarah Mitchell sat at her kitchen table surrounded by bills. She was 42 years old, with shoulder-length brown hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She wore an old gray sweater and jeans. Her face looked tired, with dark circles under her green eyes. The kitchen was cramped and outdated. The refrigerator hummed loudly. The wallpaper was peeling near the ceiling. On the table in front of her were red envelopes. Final notice, past due, disconnect warning. Sarah rubbed her temples and looked at the calculator. The numbers didn't add up. They never did. Rent was due in 5 days. She had $340 in her checking account. The rent was $1,200. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from her son, Tyler. He was 16 years old. "Mom, Coach says I need new cleats by Friday for the tournament. The ones I have are falling apart." Sarah closed her eyes. New cleats would cost at least $80. Money she didn't have. She texted back, "I'll see what I can do, honey." She put the phone down and stared at the bills again. It had been 2 years since her husband died. 2 years since the police came to her door and told her there had been an accident. David Mitchell, age 44, killed in a car crash on Highway 26. The funeral had been small. Sarah had sold almost everything valuable to pay for it. David's life insurance policy had been canceled 6 months before he died. He had told her it was too expensive. They'd use the money for Tyler's braces instead. So when he died, there was nothing. No safety net, no savings, just debt. Sarah stood up and walked to the bedroom. She opened the closet and pulled out a small box from the top shelf. Inside were a few things she had kept of David's: his wedding ring, a photo of them on their honeymoon in Seattle, his police badge, and the program from his funeral. She touched the photo gently. David had been handsome, tall with dark hair and kind brown eyes. He had been a patrol officer for the Portland Police Department. Everyone said he was a good man, a hero. Sarah had believed it. She still wanted to believe it. But lately, she had started finding things that didn't make sense. Credit card statements for a card she didn't know about, charges in Seattle, a city 2 hours away, charges at restaurants, hotels, jewelry stores. When she called the credit card company, they said the account had been closed after David's death. The balance had been $18,000. Sarah had never seen that card, had never used it, had no idea it existed, and David had never mentioned it. She closed the box and put it back in the closet. Maybe he had a gambling problem she didn't know about. Maybe he was helping a friend. Maybe there was a reasonable explanation. But deep down, Sarah knew something was wrong. The next morning, Sarah woke up early. She had the day off from her job as a medical receptionist. She needed to find things to sell, anything to make rent. She scrolled through Facebook Marketplace looking for estate sales in the area. That's when she saw it. Huge estate sale, entire household, furniture, jewelry, collectibles, tools. Everything must go. Address, 2847 Riverside Drive, West Lynn, West Lynn. That was the nice part of town, the rich part. Big houses, big yards, big money. Sarah thought maybe she could find some cheap furniture there, maybe a desk for Tyler's room. She got dressed, grabbed her purse, and drove to West Lynn. The house at 2847 Riverside Drive was massive. It was a 2-story colonial with white columns and a wraparound porch. The lawn was perfectly manicured. There were easily 30 people walking in and out, looking at items spread across tables in the driveway and garage. Sarah parked on the street and walked up. Tables were covered with dishes, books, tools, clothes, and boxes of random items. She wandered through slowly, looking at price tags. Everything was expensive. A lamp was $60. A set of dishes was $150. She was about to leave when something caught her eye. On a table near the garage, there was a display case with jewelry and watches. Sarah walked over and looked through the glass, and then her heart stopped. There, sitting on a small velvet pillow, was a gold watch, a very specific gold watch. Engraved on the back, she knew, were the words, "To David, my forever love." Sarah had given that watch to David on their 10th wedding anniversary. She had saved for 6 months to buy it, and she had buried him wearing it. Her hands started shaking. She looked around frantically. A woman was standing nearby, organizing items. She was in her late 30s, black, with natural curly hair styled in a short afro. She wore a burgundy blouse and black slacks. She looked calm, organized, in control. Sarah walked up to her, her voice shaking. "Excuse me, that watch, the gold one, where did you get it?" The woman looked at her with a polite smile. "Oh, that's a beautiful piece, isn't it? It belonged to my late husband. I'm selling a lot of his things." "Your late husband?" Sarah repeated, her voice barely a whisper. The woman nodded. "Yes. He passed away 2 years ago. I'm finally ready to let some things go." Sarah felt like the ground was falling away beneath her feet. 2 years ago. That's when David died. "What was your husband's name?" Sarah asked, already knowing the answer. The woman hesitated, then said, "David. David Harrison." Sarah's vision blurred. Harrison. Not Mitchell. Harrison. "I need to see that watch," Sarah said, her voice stronger now. The woman looked surprised but unlocked the case. She handed Sarah the watch. Sarah turned it over. There, engraved in the gold, were the words she had written. "To David, my forever love, S." "Where did you get this?" Sarah demanded, her voice rising. "I told you," the woman said, looking confused. "It was my husband's." "No," Sarah said, her hands shaking so badly she almost dropped the watch. "It was my husband's. I gave this to him. I buried him wearing it." The woman's face went pale. "What are you talking about?" "My name is Sarah Mitchell," Sarah said, her voice breaking. "My husband was David Mitchell. He died 2 years ago in a car crash, and I gave him this watch. I buried him in it. So how the hell do you have it?" The woman took a step back, her face full of shock. "That's impossible. My husband's name was David Harrison. He died 2 years ago in a car crash, and this was his watch." The two women stood there, staring at each other. Around them, people continued browsing, unaware of the earthquake happening between these two strangers. Sarah's mind was racing. Another wife, another name, the same watch, the same man, the same death. "What's your name?" Sarah whispered. The woman swallowed hard. "Nicole. Nicole Harrison." "Nicole," Sarah said slowly, her voice shaking. "I think we need to talk." They sat in Nicole's kitchen an hour later. The estate sale continued outside, but neither woman cared anymore. Nicole had called her sister to manage things. Sarah had texted Tyler that she'd be late. The kitchen was beautiful. Marble countertops, stainless steel appliances, a large island in the center. Everything Sarah's kitchen wasn't. Nicole sat across from Sarah, her hands wrapped around a cup of coffee she wasn't drinking. She looked stunned, broken, scared. "Okay," Sarah said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Let's start from the beginning. When did you meet David?" Nicole took a shaky breath. 8 years ago. I was working as a nurse at Providence Hospital in Seattle. He came in with a work injury. We started talking. He was kind, funny, charming. He asked me out. We dated for 6 months, then got engaged. We got married 7 years ago. Sarah felt sick. 7 years ago, she and David had celebrated their 12th wedding anniversary. He had taken her to dinner, told her he loved her, came home and made love to her, and apparently, he had a whole other wife in another city. "What did he do for work?" Sarah asked. Nicole looked confused. He was a consultant. He traveled a lot for business. Sometimes he'd be gone for a week or 2 at a time, but he always came home. Sarah laughed bitterly. "A consultant? He told me he was a police officer." I have his badge. Nicole's eyes widened. A police officer? No, he was a consultant for tech companies. He had an office in Seattle. He showed me. Did he? Sarah said quietly. Because I have his police uniform. I have photos of him in it. I went to the police station after he died. They gave me a folded flag and thanked me for his service. Nicole stood up abruptly, walked to a drawer and pulled out a folder. She dropped it on the table in front of Sarah. These are his business cards, his work emails, his office address. Sarah opened the folder. Sure enough, there were business cards. David Harrison, technology consultant, a Seattle address, an email, a phone number. Sarah pulled out her phone and showed Nicole photos. David in his police uniform. David at a police charity event. David receiving a community service award. Nicole covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Oh my God, how is this possible? Sarah's voice was cold now. How long would he be gone? When he traveled? Nicole wiped her eyes. A week, sometimes 2 weeks. He'd say he had a big project in Portland or San Francisco. He'd call every night, send me pictures of his hotel, tell me he missed me. And then he'd come home. Portland, Sarah repeated. He lived in Portland. With me, with our son. Nicole's head snapped up. Your son? Yes, Sarah said. Tyler. He's 16 now. He was 14 when David died. Nicole's face crumpled. I have a daughter, Emma. She's 6. She was 4 when David died. The room went silent except for the sound of both women crying. Sarah tried to do the math in her head. If Emma was 6 now, that meant Nicole got pregnant about 7 years ago, right around the time she married David, which meant David had been living 2 complete lives, 2 wives, 2 homes, 2 families, for years. How did he die? Sarah finally asked. Nicole took a shaky breath. Car accident. He was driving home from the airport late at night. A semi-truck crossed the center line on I-5, hit him head-on. He died instantly. That's what the police told me. Sarah nodded slowly. That's what they told me too. Except they said it happened on Highway 26, and they said he was driving home from work. Nicole looked up. They told me it was I-5 near Seattle. Sarah felt something cold settle in her stomach. Different highways, different cities, different stories. She pulled out her phone and searched. David Mitchell obituary Portland. An article came up from the Portland Tribune. Local police officer killed in traffic accident. She showed it to Nicole. Then Nicole searched on her phone. David Harrison obituary Seattle. An article from the Seattle Times. Tech consultant dies in highway crash. 2 obituaries, 2 funerals, 2 burials. Same man, same day. How is that possible? Nicole whispered. I don't know, Sarah said, but we're going to find out. Over the next week, Sarah and Nicole met 3 more times. They shared everything. Photos, documents, stories, memories. The picture that emerged was staggering. David had been living a double life for at least 7 years. He would spend 1 week with Sarah in Portland, telling her he was working normal shifts as a police officer. Then he'd tell her he had to work a special assignment or training in Seattle. He'd drive 2 hours north and spend a week with Nicole, telling her he was home from his consulting trip. He had 2 phone numbers, 2 email addresses, 2 social media accounts under different names, 2 lives, completely separate. The only thing he couldn't fake was his death. What I don't understand, Nicole said during one of their meetings, is the money. If he was living 2 lives, supporting 2 households, where was he getting the money? Sarah had been wondering the same thing. I barely scraped by, Sarah said. He told me his police salary wasn't much. We struggled every month. Nicole nodded. Same here. He said consulting had slow periods. We had this big house, but I paid for most of it with my nursing salary. So where did his money go? Sarah asked. They decided to find out. Sarah requested David's financial records from the bank. It took 2 weeks and a lawyer's help, but she finally got them. What she found made her blood run cold. In the last 3 years of his life, David had moved over $400,000 through his accounts. $400,000. But Sarah had never seen any of it. Neither had Nicole. So where did it go? Sarah hired a private investigator. His name was James. He was in his 50s, a former detective, with gray hair and a no-nonsense attitude. He charged $200 an hour. Sarah and Nicole split the cost. 3 weeks later, James called them both to his office. They sat across from his desk, nervous, scared of what they were about to hear. James opened a file and looked at them with something like pity. "Ladies," he said, "your husband was not who you thought he was." "We know," Sarah said bitterly. "He had 2 wives." James shook his head. "It's worse than that." He slid a piece of paper across the desk. It was a marriage certificate. David Harrison and Monica Chen. Married 4 years ago in Las Vegas. Sarah felt like she'd been punched. Nicole made a choking sound. "There's a 3rd wife," James said quietly. "Her name is Monica Chen. She's 35. She lives in San Francisco. She works as a realtor, and she has a 3-year-old son named Jacob." "No," Nicole whispered. "No, no, no." James slid over more papers. Bank transfers to a Monica Chen. Rent payments for an apartment in San Francisco. Photos of David with a petite Asian woman and a small boy. 3 wives, Sarah said, her voice hollow. 3 families. James nodded. "And it gets worse. David wasn't a police officer or a consultant." "What?" Sarah said. James pulled out another document. His real name was David Lawrence. He was a con artist. He'd been doing this for over 15 years. He'd marry women, live off their income, scam money on the side, and move between families. The police officer thing, James continued, was fake. He bought the uniform online. The badge was a replica. He rented a fake office in Seattle for the consultant story. It was all a lie. Sarah couldn't breathe. Everything had been a lie. "But he had a funeral," Nicole said desperately. "The police came to my house. They told me he died." James nodded. He did die. In a car crash. But what the police didn't know was that he had multiple identities. When he died, his body was identified as David Harrison in Seattle and David Mitchell in Portland because he had 2 driver's licenses, 2 sets of ID. The funeral homes never cross-checked. 2 different counties, 2 different deaths reported. No one connected them. "So we buried the same man twice," Sarah whispered. "Yes," James said, "and in San Francisco, Monica Chen also buried him. 3 funerals, 3 graves, 1 con artist." Nicole stood up and ran to the trash can. She vomited. Sarah sat frozen, unable to move, unable to process. James waited patiently. When Nicole finally sat back down, pale and shaking, he continued. "The $400,000 he moved through his accounts came from fraud. He took out credit cards in your names. He forged documents. He scammed money from online schemes. He was under investigation by the FBI when he died. If he had lived another month, he would have been arrested." Sarah looked at Nicole. Nicole looked at Sarah. Then Sarah asked the question that had been burning in her mind. "If he scammed $400,000, where did the money go?" James smiled grimly. "That's the question I've been trying to answer. And I think I found it." He pulled out a photo. It was a large house, beautiful, expensive, oceanfront. This property was purchased 3 years ago for $850,000. It's in Cannon Beach, Oregon, a small coastal town. The deed is in the name of a corporation. But I traced the corporate ownership. It leads back to David. And to someone else. "Who?" Nicole asked. James slid over another photo. It was a woman, black, in her 60s, elegant, wearing expensive jewelry. "Her name is Denise Lawrence," James said. "David's mother." Sarah's jaw dropped. "His mother?" "I thought his parents were dead. He told me they died in a car accident when he was young." "He told me the same thing," Nicole whispered. James shook his head. "His mother is very much alive, and she's been living in that Cannon Beach house for the last 3 years, rent-free, paid for with the money David stole." "She knew," Sarah said, her voice rising. "She knew what he was doing." James nodded. "I believe so. In fact, I think she helped him. I found emails between them. She would help him create fake documents, fake references, fake work histories. She was his partner." Sarah stood up, her whole body shaking with rage. "Where is she? Where is this house?" James hesitated. "Sarah, I don't think you should—" "Tell me where she is," Sarah demanded. James looked at Nicole, who nodded. He wrote down an address and handed it to Sarah. "Be careful," he said. "This woman is dangerous." 3 days later, Sarah and Nicole drove to Cannon Beach together. Neither of them had told anyone where they were going. The town was beautiful, quaint, peaceful. The ocean stretched out endlessly, gray and cold under the cloudy sky. They found the house easily. It was right on the beach, huge windows, a wraparound deck, a Mercedes parked in the driveway. They parked on the street and walked up to the front door. Sarah rang the doorbell. A moment later, the door opened. Denise Lawrence stood there in a cream-colored cashmere sweater and designer jeans. She looked at them with mild curiosity. "Yes? Can I help you?" "My name is Sarah Mitchell," Sarah said, her voice steady. "This is Nicole Harrison. We were both married to your son." Denise's face didn't change. "I'm sorry. I think you have the wrong house." "No," Nicole said, stepping forward. "We don't. Your son was David Lawrence. He also went by David Mitchell and David Harrison. He married both of us, and a third woman in San Francisco. He scammed us. He stole from us. And you helped him." Denise's eyes narrowed. "I don't know what you're talking about." Sarah pulled out the documents James had given them. "We have bank records, emails, property deeds. We know everything." Denise stared at them for a long moment. Then she smiled, a cold, cruel smile. "So you figured it out. Good for you." Nicole's voice shook. "How could you? How could you help him do this to us? We have children. We have lives. He destroyed us." Denise shrugged. "My son was brilliant. He had a gift. He could make anyone believe anything. And yes, I helped him. Because he was my son, and he took care of me." She gestured at the house. "This is mine because of him. I'm comfortable because of him. I don't care what he had to do to get here." Sarah felt rage like she'd never felt before. "He didn't just scam us. He stole our lives, our trust, our love. And you don't even care." Denise stepped forward, her voice turning harsh. "Let me tell you something. My son grew up poor. We had nothing. I taught him how to survive, how to use people, how to take what he needed. And he did. He was good at it. Better than anyone I'd ever seen. You all fell for it because you were weak, desperate, easy targets." Nicole lunged forward, but Sarah grabbed her arm. Denise laughed. "What are you going to do? Hit me? Call the police? David's dead. You can't touch him, and you have no proof I did anything illegal." Sarah's voice was ice cold. "Actually, we do. We have emails from you to David with instructions on forging documents. We have bank transfers from his accounts to yours. We have testimony from a forensic accountant, and we've already given everything to the FBI." Denise's smile faltered. "You're bluffing." Nicole pulled out her phone and showed Denise a photo. It was an email from Special Agent Rodriguez of the FBI, confirming receipt of evidence. "We're not bluffing," Nicole said quietly. "They're opening an investigation into David's fraud and into you." Denise's face went pale. "You can't do this." Sarah stepped closer. "You helped destroy 3 families. You helped steal hundreds of thousands of dollars. You knew your son had children he abandoned, and you didn't care. So yes, we can do this. And we are." Denise's hands started shaking. "What do you want?" Sarah looked at Nicole. Nicole nodded. "We want the truth," Sarah said. "We want to know why. Why did he do this? Why did you help him?" Denise looked at them, and for the first time, something like emotion crossed her face. She stepped back and let them inside. They sat in the large living room. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out at the ocean. Expensive furniture, expensive art, all bought with stolen money. Denise poured herself a drink and sat down. "David's father left us when David was 5, she began. "We had nothing. I worked 3 jobs to keep us fed. I promised David we'd never be poor again, so I taught him how to hustle, how to lie, how to charm people, how to take what he needed." Sarah and Nicole sat in silence, listening. "When he was 18, Denise continued, He ran his first con. He convinced a woman to marry him, drained her bank account, and left. I was so proud. Sarah felt sick hearing those words. So proud. This woman was proud that her son had destroyed someone's life. He kept doing it, Denise said, taking a sip of her drink. Getting better, more careful. He'd marry a woman, stay with her for a year or two, take what he could, then disappear. He did it 5 times before he met you. She looked at Sarah. Then he met you, and he said you were different. You were stable. You had a good job. You were trusting. He could use you as home base. So he stayed. He married you. He built a life with you. But one life wasn't enough for him. He got bored. Nicole wiped tears from her face, listening to this monster describe the destruction of her life like it was a business strategy. Then a few years later, Denise said, turning to Nicole, he met you. And you were even better. More money, better job, bigger house. He got greedy. He thought he could manage both. And he did. For years. How? Sarah asked, her voice breaking. How did he manage it? How did we not know? Denise smiled. Because he was smart. He had a system. He had 2 phones, 2 cars registered under different names. He'd park one car at the Portland airport, fly to Seattle, pick up his other car, and he'd be home to you. She pointed at Nicole. Then a week later, he'd do the reverse. He had calendars, spreadsheets. He tracked everything, when he was supposed to be where. What lies he told to who. He treated it like a job, because it was his job. And you helped him, Sarah said. Denise nodded. I helped him create fake IDs. I found people who could make realistic badges and uniforms. I helped him set up the fake office in Seattle. I even called you once, pretending to be his secretary, confirming a work trip. Sarah's hands clenched into fists. She remembered that call. A woman with a professional voice confirming that David would be in Seattle for a training conference. Sarah had never questioned it. And Monica, Nicole asked. The 3rd wife. When did she come into the picture? Denise laughed. That was just for fun, I think. And her money. She made good commissions, selling real estate. David met her at an open house in San Francisco. He convinced her he was a software engineer working remotely. He'd visit her once a month, tell her he was traveling for work the rest of the time. She fell for it completely. Had his baby. Never questioned anything. 3 women, Sarah whispered. 3 families. And you helped him destroy all of us. Denise's face hardened. I helped him survive. I helped him thrive. And he took care of me in return. I don't regret any of it. Sarah stood up, unable to sit anymore. He didn't love any of us, did he? Denise looked at her with something almost like pity. No, honey. He didn't. He loved money. He loved the game. He loved the thrill of getting away with it. That's all. Nicole stood up too, her voice shaking. And you're not sorry. Not even a little. Denise finished her drink and set the glass down. Sorry doesn't pay the bills. Sarah took a deep breath. Then I hope you enjoy this house while you can. Because the FBI is coming, and when they do, you're going to lose everything, just like we did. Denise's confident expression faltered for just a moment. Get out of my house. Sarah and Nicole walked to the door. Sarah turned back one last time. One more thing. Did David ever mention his kids? Did he ever talk about Tyler or Emma or Jacob? Did he ever say he loved them? Denise was silent. Did he? Sarah demanded. Denise looked away. He said they were part of the cover, necessary for the role. Nicole let out a sob. Sarah felt tears streaming down her face. I hope it was worth it, she said quietly. I hope every dollar was worth destroying 3 innocent children's lives. They walked out and got into the car. Neither of them spoke on the drive back to Portland. There was nothing left to say. My sweet family, before moving forward with the story, tell us where you are watching from. New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami, Houston, London, Toronto, Sydney. Write your location below so we know how far betrayal and truth can travel in this world. Don't forget to like this video to support good stories. Hit subscribe to my channel so you never miss those moments that make your heart stop and think. 2 months later, Sarah sat in her apartment with Nicole and Monica. They had finally met in person, the three wives of David Lawrence. Monica was exactly as James had described. Petite, Asian. In her mid-30s with long black hair and sad eyes. She wore a simple gray dress and held her son Jacob in her lap. "I still can't believe this is real," Monica said quietly. "I thought I knew him. I thought we were building a life together." "We all did," Nicole said. Sarah looked at the three of them. 3 women from different cities, different backgrounds, different lives, united by one man's lies. "James called me yesterday," Sarah said. "The FBI arrested Denise." "Good," Nicole said fiercely. "They're charging her with conspiracy to commit fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering. She's looking at 15 to 20 years. Monica shifted Jacob in her lap. "What about the money? Can we get any of it back?" Sarah nodded. "Some of it. The house in Cannon Beach is being seized. They found about $200,000 in Denise's accounts. After legal fees and restitution, we'll each get about $60,000. "It's not enough," Nicole said bitterly. "It doesn't come close to what he took from us." "No," Sarah agreed. "But it's something." Monica spoke up, her voice small. "I've been thinking about telling Jacob about his father when he's older. But I don't know what to say. How do you explain something like this to a child?" Sarah thought about Tyler. She had told him the truth 2 weeks ago. He had cried. He had been angry. He had punched a hole in his bedroom wall, but he had also hugged her and told her it wasn't her fault. "You tell them the truth," Sarah said. "When they're old enough, you tell them their father was sick, that he was broken, that he made terrible choices, but that none of it was their fault, and that they don't have to be like him." Nicole wiped her eyes. "Emma asks about her daddy sometimes. She's only 6, so she doesn't understand. I just tell her he loved her, and he's watching over her from heaven." "Do you think he ever loved any of us?" Monica asked. "Even a little?" The 3 women sat in silence. Finally, Sarah spoke. "I used to think he did. I used to think that maybe in his own twisted way he cared. But now I don't know. I think maybe he was incapable of real love. I think he only knew how to perform it." Nicole nodded. James said he found David's journal. In it, he had written detailed notes about each of us, what we liked, what we responded to, what made us trust him. He studied us like we were projects. "That's sick," Monica whispered. "Yes," Sarah said. "It is." Jacob started to fuss, and Monica stood up. "I should go. I have a long drive back to San Francisco." Sarah and Nicole walked her to the door. Before she left, Monica turned back. "Thank you for finding me, for telling me the truth. I would have spent the rest of my life thinking I had a perfect marriage." Sarah hugged her. "We're in this together now, all 3 of us." After Monica left, Nicole stayed. She and Sarah sat on the couch with cups of tea. "Are you okay?" Nicole asked. Sarah thought about the question. "I don't know. Some days I'm angry. Some days I'm sad. Some days I feel nothing at all. But I'm surviving. That's more than I thought I'd be able to do." Nicole nodded. "Same. My therapist says it's going to take years to process all of this, to rebuild my ability to trust." Sarah looked at her. "Do you think you'll ever get married again?" Nicole laughed bitterly. "Are you kidding? I don't think I'll ever even date again. How am I supposed to trust anyone after this?" "I know what you mean," Sarah said. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Nicole said something that surprised her. "But I'm glad I met you. I know that sounds weird, given the circumstances. But you and Monica, you're the only people who understand what this feels like. You're the only people who don't look at me like I'm stupid for not knowing." Sarah reached over and squeezed her hand. "You're not stupid. None of us are. He was a professional. This is what he did for a living. We didn't stand a chance." "Still," Nicole said, "I keep thinking about all the signs I missed. All the times he was vague about his work. All the times his stories didn't quite add up. I should have known." Sarah shook her head. Don't do that to yourself. I've been down that road. It doesn't lead anywhere good. We trusted him because that's what you do in a marriage. That's what normal people do. We're not the ones who did something wrong. Nicole's eyes filled with tears. Then why does it feel like we are? Because he made us feel that way, Sarah said. That was part of his game. Make us doubt ourselves. Make us think we're crazy for questioning him. Make us feel guilty for not being enough. But we were enough. We are enough. He was the broken one. Nicole wiped her eyes and nodded. You're right. I know you're right. It's just hard to believe sometimes. I know, Sarah said, but we'll get there, one day at a time. 6 months later, Sarah stood in a federal courthouse in Portland. Nicole sat beside her. Monica had flown in from San Francisco. They sat in the gallery watching as Denise Lawrence was led into the courtroom in handcuffs. Denise wore an orange jumpsuit. Her hair was no longer styled. Her face looked older, harder. She didn't look at Sarah, Nicole, or Monica. The trial had lasted 3 weeks. The prosecution had presented overwhelming evidence: emails, bank records, forged documents, testimony from handwriting experts and forensic accountants. Denise's lawyer had tried to argue that she was just a mother helping her son, that she didn't know the extent of his crimes, but the jury hadn't believed it. They had deliberated for 3 hours. Now they filed back into the courtroom. The forewoman stood. Have you reached a verdict? The judge asked. We have, Your Honor. On the count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, how do you find? Guilty. On the count of wire fraud, how do you find? Guilty. On the count of money laundering, how do you find? Guilty. Sarah felt Nicole grab her hand. On her other side, Monica let out a quiet sob. The judge looked at Denise. Mrs. Lawrence, you have been found guilty on all counts. The court finds that you were a willing and active participant in a scheme that destroyed multiple families and defrauded victims of hundreds of thousands of dollars. You showed no remorse, no regret, and no indication that you understand the gravity of your crimes. The judge paused, looking down at the papers before him. I hereby sentence you to 15 years in federal prison, to be followed by 5 years of supervised release. You are ordered to pay restitution in the amount of $350,000 to be divided among the victims. You will be eligible for parole after serving 85% of your sentence. Denise's face remained stone cold. She didn't flinch, didn't react, just stared straight ahead. Do you have anything to say, Mrs. Lawrence? The judge asked. Denise was silent for a moment. Then she spoke, her voice clear and cold. My son did what he had to do to survive, and so did I. I don't apologize for that. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. The judge banged his gavel. Take her away. As the bailiffs led Denise out of the courtroom, she finally looked at Sarah, Nicole, and Monica. Her eyes were hard, unforgiving, filled with contempt. Sarah stared back, refusing to look away. She wanted Denise to see that she hadn't broken them, that they had survived. When Denise was gone, the 3 women stood together in the hallway outside the courtroom. It's over, Monica whispered. Nicole shook her head. No, this part is over. But we still have to live with what he did. We still have to explain this to our children. We still have to rebuild our lives. Sarah put her arms around both of them. But we're going to do it together. We're survivors, all 3 of us. They stood there for a long moment, 3 strangers brought together by betrayal, now bonded by survival. 1 year after the trial, Sarah sat in her new apartment. It was small but clean, affordable, safe. Tyler was in his room doing homework. She had gotten a better job at a private medical practice, benefits, stability, hope. The $60,000 from the restitution had helped. She had paid off the debt David left behind. She had put some money aside for Tyler's college fund. She had even bought herself a new winter coat, the first new piece of clothing she'd bought in 3 years. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from Nicole. Dinner this weekend? Emma wants to see Tyler. Maybe Monica can fly in too. We can make it a thing. Sarah smiled and texted back. Sounds perfect. My place or yours? Yours. I'll bring the wine. Sarah put her phone down and walked to her bedroom. She opened her closet and looked at the small box on the top shelf, the box with David's things. She pulled it down and sat on her bed. She opened it slowly. Inside was the gold watch, the one that had started everything. She picked it up and looked at the engraving. To David, my forever love, S. She had thought about throwing it away, selling it, destroying it. But she kept it. Not because she still loved him. She didn't. She wasn't even sure she ever really knew him well enough to love him. But she kept it because it reminded her of what she had survived. It reminded her that she had been strong enough to face the truth, strong enough to seek justice, strong enough to rebuild. She put the watch back in the box and closed the lid. Then she put the box back on the shelf and closed the closet door. Tyler called from his room. "Mom, what's for dinner?" Sarah smiled. "Whatever you want, baby. We'll figure it out together." She walked to the kitchen and started pulling out ingredients. As she cooked, she thought about everything that had happened. 2 years ago, she had been drowning in debt, drowning in grief, drowning in confusion. Now she had answers. She had closure. She had friends who understood her pain. She had Nicole, who texted her funny memes when she was having a bad day, who called her when she couldn't sleep, who understood what it felt like to have your entire reality shattered. She had Monica, who sent her care packages from San Francisco, who shared parenting tips for raising children who had lost a father, even if that father was a monster. And she had herself, stronger than she ever thought possible. Tyler came out of his room and sat at the kitchen table. "Mom," he said, "can I ask you something?" "Of course, honey. Do you ever miss Dad?" Sarah stopped chopping vegetables and looked at her son. He was 17 now, almost a man. He looked so much like David it sometimes hurt to look at him. But he wasn't David. He was kind. He was honest. He was good. "I miss who I thought he was," Sarah said carefully. "I miss the man I believed I married. But that man wasn't real. So no, I don't miss your father, because I never really knew him." Tyler nodded slowly. "I used to feel guilty about that, about not missing him, but my therapist says that's normal." Sarah walked over and sat down next to him. "You have nothing to feel guilty about, Tyler. None of this was your fault, and you're allowed to feel however you feel. Angry, sad, relieved, confused. All of it is valid." Tyler looked at her with eyes so much older than 17. "Are you happy, Mom?" Sarah thought about the question. "I'm getting there," she said honestly. "Some days are harder than others. But yeah, I think I'm getting there." "Good," Tyler said. "You deserve to be happy. So do you, baby." They sat together in comfortable silence as Sarah finished making dinner. Later that night, after Tyler had gone to bed, Sarah sat on her balcony with a cup of tea. The city lights sparkled below. The air was cool and peaceful. Her phone rang. It was Nicole. "Hey," Sarah said. "What's up?" "Nothing," Nicole said. "I just wanted to hear your voice. Is that weird?" "Not at all," Sarah said. "I'm glad you called." "I was thinking today," Nicole said, "about how different my life is now compared to a year ago. Better or worse?" "Different," Nicole said. "Not better or worse. Just different. I'm not the person I was before all this happened. I'm harder now, more guarded, but also stronger." "I know what you mean," Sarah said. "Emma asked me today if I would ever get married again," Nicole said. "And you know what I told her?" "What?" "I told her maybe someday, not anytime soon, but maybe someday. And I actually meant it." Sarah smiled. "That's progress." "It is," Nicole said. "A year ago, I would have said never. But now I think maybe I could. If I met the right person. If I took my time. If I trusted my gut." "You will," Sarah said. "When you're ready." "What about you?" Nicole asked. "Would you ever date again?" Sarah thought about it. "I don't know. Maybe. But I think I need to learn to be happy alone first. I've been someone's wife since I was 23 years old. I need to figure out who I am when I'm just me." "That's beautiful," Nicole said. They talked for another hour about everything and nothing, about their kids, about their jobs, about the new coffee shop that opened near Nicole's house. When they finally hung up, Sarah felt peaceful. She wasn't defined by what David had done to her. She wasn't just a victim of his con. She was a mother, a friend, a survivor. And that was enough. 3 years after finding the watch at the estate sale, Sarah stood in a small coffee shop in downtown Portland. She was meeting someone. His name was Robert. He was 48 years old, a teacher at a local high school. They had met at a parent-teacher conference 6 months ago when Robert had taught Tyler's history class. He had asked her out 3 times before she finally said yes. This was their 5th date. Sarah was terrified. Nicole had helped her pick out her outfit. A simple blue dress and a cardigan. Nothing fancy. Nothing that screamed trying too hard. Monica had called her that morning to give her a pep talk. "You deserve this," Monica had said. "You deserve to be happy. And if this guy turns out to be a jerk, we'll hunt him down together." Sarah had laughed. Now, sitting across from Robert in the coffee shop, she felt her hands shaking. "You okay?" Robert asked gently. "Yeah," Sarah said, "just nervous." Robert smiled. He had kind eyes, warm brown eyes that reminded her of nothing and no one. "Me too," he said. "Really? Really? I haven't dated anyone seriously in 5 years. My ex-wife and I divorced, and I just threw myself into teaching. But then I met you, and I thought maybe it was time to try again." Sarah appreciated his honesty. "Can I tell you something?" Sarah said. "Of course. My husband died 3 years ago. But before he died, I found out he'd been living a double life. He had another wife in Seattle and another one in San Francisco. He was a con artist. Everything about him was a lie." Robert's eyes widened, but he didn't pull away. "Wow," he said. "That's a lot." "Yeah," Sarah said. "It is. And I understand if that's too much baggage for you. If you want to run for the hills right now, I completely get it." Robert reached across the table and took her hand. "I'm not running," he said. "Thank you for trusting me enough to tell me. That must have taken a lot of courage." Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. "I just wanted you to know. Because I have trust issues now. I question everything. I overanalyze. I'm probably going to need a lot of patience and understanding." Robert squeezed her hand. "Then that's what I'll give you, patience and understanding. And if you need to move slowly, we move slowly. If you need to ask me a million questions, ask me a million questions. I'm an open book." Sarah smiled through her tears. "Thank you." They spent the next 2 hours talking. Really talking. About their lives, their kids, their hopes, their fears. When they finally left the coffee shop, Robert walked her to her car. "Can I see you again?" he asked. "Yes," Sarah said. "I'd like that." He kissed her on the cheek, sweet and gentle, and walked away. Sarah got in her car and sat there for a moment, her heart pounding. Then she pulled out her phone and texted Nicole and Monica. "I think I just had a good date." Her phone exploded with excited messages. Sarah drove home smiling. 5 years after everything had fallen apart, Sarah stood in Nicole's backyard. It was a warm summer day. There were balloons and streamers and a banner that read, "Happy 11th Birthday, Emma." Tyler was there, now 21 and in college. Jacob was there with Monica, now 8 years old and full of energy. Emma ran around with her friends, laughing and happy. Nicole walked over to Sarah with 2 glasses of wine. "Can you believe it's been 5 years?" she asked. Sarah shook her head. "It feels like a lifetime ago. And also like yesterday." Monica joined them, holding her own glass of wine. "To survivors," she said, raising her glass. "To survivors," Sarah and Nicole echoed. They clinked glasses and drank. "How's Robert?" Nicole asked. "He's good," Sarah said, smiling. "Really good. We're talking about moving in together." "That's amazing," Monica said. "I'm so happy for you." "What about you?" Sarah asked Monica. "Any dating prospects?" Monica laughed. "I went on a date last month. It was terrible. The guy spent the entire time talking about his ex-wife. But I'm not giving up. I figure if you can find love again after everything we've been through, so can I." "What about you?" Sarah asked Nicole. Nicole smiled mysteriously. Actually, there is someone. His name is Anthony. He's a teacher at Emma's school. We've been seeing each other for a few months. It's still new, but it's good. Sarah hugged her. I'm so proud of us, she said. Look at us. We survived. We're thriving. We're building new lives. We did it together, Nicole said. I don't think I could have gotten through this without you two. Same, Monica said. They stood together, watching their children play, watching the sun set, watching life move forward. Denise was in prison. David was dead. The lies were exposed. But they were still here, still standing, still fighting. And that was everything. Sarah thought about the gold watch, still sitting in a box in her closet. She hardly ever thought about it anymore. It was just an object now, a relic from another life. The engraving meant nothing anymore. To David, my forever love, S. She wasn't his anymore. She never really had been, but she was hers, and that was all that mattered. Tyler called out to her from across the yard. Mom, come play volleyball with us. Sarah handed her wine glass to Nicole. Duty calls, she said with a smile. She ran over to join the game, feeling lighter than she had in years. The past would always be there. The scars would always remain. But they didn't define her anymore. She was Sarah Mitchell, mother, friend, survivor, and she was free. As the sun set over the backyard, casting everything in golden light, Sarah laughed and played with her son and her friends and their children. This was her family now, not the one she had been born into or the one she had married into. This was the family she had chosen, the family she had built from the ashes of betrayal, and it was beautiful. Nicole caught her eye from across the yard and smiled. Monica raised her wine glass in a silent toast. Sarah smiled back, her heart full. They had been broken, all of them, shattered into a million pieces, but they had put themselves back together. Not the same as before, but stronger, more resilient, more authentic, and they had done it together. That night, after the party, Sarah drove home with Tyler. He was quiet, staring out the window. Good party, he finally said. Yeah, Sarah agreed. It was. Mom, Tyler said, I'm proud of you. Sarah glanced at him, surprised. For what? For everything. For surviving. For rebuilding. For not letting what Dad did destroy you. You're the strongest person I know. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, baby. That means more to me than you know. When they got home, Tyler went to his room to pack for his trip back to college. Sarah walked to her bedroom and opened her closet. She pulled down the box with the watch. She looked at it one last time. Then she walked to her car, drove to a pawn shop, and sold it. The man behind the counter gave her $200 for it. Sarah took the money and drove to a donation center. She donated all $200 to a women's shelter for domestic violence survivors. When she got back home, she felt lighter. The watch was gone. The last physical reminder of David was gone, and she was free. She walked inside, made herself a cup of tea, and sat on her couch. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from Robert. Thinking about you. Hope you had a good day. Sarah smiled and texted back. I had a great day. Want to come over for dinner tomorrow? I'd love to. Sarah put her phone down and looked around her apartment. It was small, but it was hers. Every piece of furniture, every picture on the wall, every choice had been made by her. This was her life now, built by her own hands, filled with people who truly loved her. And it was enough. More than enough. It was everything. Thank you so much for watching this story all the way to the end. If you loved this story and want to see more heartwarming tales like this, please drop a comment below saying more stories. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when we upload our next amazing story. Thank you once again for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.